Building on sand, you have to dig your foundations down to the hard stuff. Trouble is, the soft stuff keeps filling the holes in. So it's one scoop forward and a couple back. You'd be mad to do it by hand, especially if you're building two houses on the same sand dune at the same time. Zach Williams is a competitive mountain biker, a man not afraid of committing to a difficult or dangerous physical challenge. Work hard, go fast, get ahead. He's also a builder, and he's taken on a new challenge. Building a house here in Dunedin with Tess, a Tasmanian teacher he lured over from Australia 3 years ago, with a promise of sea views and beachfront living.
He convinced me that Dunedin was the place to be. I kind of made some big decisions in a small amount of time and packed up my house, and I got on the plane the next day.
But the seaside town of Little Brighton is well south of Tess's hometown in Tasmania. And it's here on a sandy site that looks more suitable for sandcastles than houses that Zach will be taking on his biggest endurance test yet. So how did you guys find this?
We were renting just along the road, and the for sale sign sat outside for quite a long time. We walked past it and decided that that could be us. We could build something quite cool up here.
Sounds great, but I mean, we all know that, you know, beach sites are dealing with global warming,
Yes.
Shifting sands,
Yes.
and that being the Southern Ocean, it would throw everything at you here, wouldn't it?
It sure does, yeah. Not unusual to see some sideways rain and the sand being picked up and chucked in your face.
All I can think of is, being a Wellingtonian, mad, mad, mad.
Yeah, we did think that. There was a couple of years ago when we watched the icebergs kind of float past. So,
They kind of tend to down here, don't they?
No, yeah.
Did you tell her that before she
haven't.
came over?
Certainly did not. That's
No.
the first I'm hearing of it.
You also, tell me, what are your plans? What are you going to build?
We've got a 167 square metre, 2-bedroom house designed for us. Open plan living with a mezzanine above the kitchen.
Zach and Tess's house is a scaled-up batch designed around 2 connected pavilions, set on thick concrete foundations dug deep into the sand. The smaller pavilion is a bedroom wing with a dressing room and ensuite. Sliding doors reveal a dining area that'll feel like it's on the beach, opening to the larger pavilion with an expansive high-stud living area. With stairs to the mezzanine bedroom and a living space on an inside deck where massive floor-to-ceiling windows maximise the breathtaking view. The glass is triple glazed to keep out the sounds and cold of the roaring winter wind and crashing ocean. And a choice of 3 verandas means the wind will never stop Zach and Tess from getting outdoors. Clad in reverse-cut aluminium to give extra protection from salt and sand, the house sits on top of the sand dunes. The 2 pavilions, an exciting modern take on the old Kiwi batch, or crib, as they say down south. How are you going to do this? I mean, clearly you've both rolled your sleeves up. Well,
Yeah.
not that you've got any.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll be building it part-time, as well as building another property along the road.
What, 2 at the same time?
2 at the same time. It's going to be after hours, some very long nights. Weekends will be chock-a-block, and with Tess's help.
As you head into winter in a high wind zone.
Yes.
Yes.
And what's your budget?
It's coming in around $275.
$275?
Yes.
How on earth are you going to do that?
Well, labour's free, so we purely just have material costs. That's how we're doing it for the price we are.
It's sounding pretty shaky as a proposition to me. I mean, it's a big ask. It's a very big ask. What do you think, Tess?
I think he's probably lucky that I don't know enough about building, because if I did, I would probably be terrified. But you know, he doesn't say he can do something if he can't. So I've got all the confidence in the world, and just hope that it's well placed.
So what about the time frame?
This one will take us through to around October. We should be in and toasty warm by then, but I
At
don't
three,
like dates.
you don't like dates?
Yeah.
What kind of dates?
Yeah, well, a move-in date.
Oh, you mean deadlines?
Yeah, deadlines.
Well, I wish you a lot of luck, because you're going to need it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Zach's dislike of deadlines may cause problems here, but it may cause even more problems at the other house he's building just down the road. This one is the day job. It's a much bigger build, and to complicate things, there's a personal connection with his clients, Carol and Judd. Carol is his mum.
It was always in the pipeline that we built a new house, and we couldn't have got anybody better than Zach to do it.
But isn't it a bit mad that he's doing not just this for you, but also his place at the same time?
He's young and adventurous. He'll do it.
So you guys don't mind the fact that he's been working all weekend and then he comes to your place not very fresh?
We'll feed him.
You'll feed him.
Viking might have to take a back seat this year, but yeah, he knows how much it means to me.
Oh, that's very special. Gosh, what a supportive mum.
Oh, what a
You're
supportive
amazing.
boy. I'll build you a house.
I see this relationship that Zach has with his mother, and I know that one would never let the other one down.
Having lived on this double site for about 10 years, Carol and her partner Judd bowled the original houses to make space for their massive concrete and glass dream home. During construction, they will be glamping in a luxurious on-site garage, while Zach and Tess slum it in the rusty old garage across the driveway with its outside toilet.
I think they might struggle for the winter down there,
Yeah.
but that'll make them work
Yeah.
The tips to good motherhood are
pressure.
bring him up tough.
Yeah.
Too right.
It's in case of having to. We can't both live in garages for the rest of our lives.
Building two houses on sand through a South Island winter with your mum and your girlfriend living in opposite garages. I can't wait to see how this one turns out. Luxurious as the garage may be, there's no time for sleeping in. Zach's got a digger book down at his place today and needs to get that sorted before cracking into his mum's house.
So today's your first big day at your mum's house and then at ours.
Yeah,
Cool.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, when are you going to ride your bike?
On the weekend.
I think we might as well just put it in the attic and forget about it. All right. See you later.
And with Tess off to her teaching job at a local school, Zach loads his tools and makes the first of many journeys between the two sites.
We did a bit of a blitz last night. Tess and I came down from about 5 o'clock through to about 9:30. Got all the profiles up, strung all the lines, got the dazzle cans out and drew the house on the grounds.
Gotta love having a machine here. So much easier than a shovel and a barrow.
Breaking ground means Zach's already breaking his rules and spending the morning on his own house, rather than the day job at his mum's.
Here we've just scraped all the old vegetation and wind-blown sand off the site. As you can see, we've got a really good building platform. Now we're going to dig our first footing. The challenge we've got is that the sand drying out and the top of it was really, really fine, and having the problem of possibly caving in the footings. So a lot of cleaning out each morning we may have installed for us.
It's a weekday, so Zach's at war with the wind at his mum's site today. Here, he's already had a month of back-breaking digging and redigging as his carefully hand-dug holes endlessly fill back in. A digger can take care of the surface sand, but the deep holes have to be dug by hand.
We've used an excavator to get away the bulk of the sand, but for these narrow trenches, the quickest way is just to hand dig it till we get down to this good stuff, which offers a whole lot more resistance. It's sometimes really heartbreaking to have your trench clean and you're about to retain it and then the whole thing just drops in. So that's the rest of your afternoon is going to be digging out what you've just done.
And this is just one of two sand dune sites, so Zach faces this work at both houses.
To go down the road and have a very, very similar problem is slightly trying at times, eh? Yeah, we learnt some new words. The wind and the sand in the eyes and the ears, you definitely know about it when you finish at night.
On such a dry, windy day, Zach's only defence is the garden sprinkler. And after a full day at Mum's, as he heads down to work in his own sandpit, it must feel like he's trying to sweep back the tide.
Having them both at that sand stage and just digging through it day after day. And just the caving is just so demoralising. Yeah, I just never felt that much kind of disappointment in building before.
With no end in sight at Mum's place, The smaller footprint down at Zach's house means he finishes his own digging first. Tonight, he's putting in the boxing for the slab. He may be further ahead here, but he's behind where he wants to be.
I think we're at least a month over than what we anticipated.
But he's not letting the delay compromise his attention to detail.
Once you take these boards away, we have the imprint of the timber and the concrete, which would be a cool wee feature. I think it's good. We're more labour intensive. I'm amping for getting the slab down, just because as soon as that slab's down, from there we're starting our build.
Of course, Zach has two schedules to meet, his house and his mother Carol's, where he might be digging sand forever.
Honestly, that's Carol's question a lot of the time. You know, what are you guys doing down there in that hole? And
yeah,
so
you've disappeared into it.
You've disappeared. You guys have been down there for a long time, and we're not round it yet. The 8 hours here is really good. I'm enjoying it, and every day it's problem solving. But I'm more than happy to walk away at 4:30 and go down the road, and I really enjoy that. You look to your left, you see the end of the building. You look to your right, you see the end of the building. Here, if you look to your left, we can't see the end of it, and we haven't even found the front of it yet.
And one thing I can't see here is a finish line. With two houses to build and Zach's dislike of deadlines, I hope he's not digging himself into a hole. It's a big day here in Brighton. Zach's booked the concrete trucks to put down the slab for their seaside home. In any build, this is a milestone. Here, after months of digging by hand, it's a massive step forward.
So the weather will be okay for it?
Yeah, as long as it's not frosty.
The long summer days are over, but Zach has set up a floodlight to keep his late nights and early mornings focused on getting out of the ground.
It's just this hole in the ground that we love dearly. So I can't wait to actually see some structure. Zach is a stickler for details and perfection, and I can't understand why he loves to be as busy as he is. But I mean, it's how he operates.
With months to go till his mum's slab is poured, but his own ready to go, Zach's spending a rare weekday morning on site. Getting his slab right is critical to his build and budget, and there's already a delay.
Had a bit of a hold up with the pump, so a couple of hours late, but that's okay. The frost has gone off, so it's actually probably improved our chances of a better finish.
With his do-it-yourself budget, Zach will be watching the number of concrete trucks like a hawk.
We just worked our way out of the bedroom, and we're working our way through the dining room. They're getting a really good finish with it.
Every dollar counts here. Zach will be hoping it's the last load.
We've got one more truck on the street. The places say it's going to be close. Hopefully enough to see us through to the end and not have to order another truck.
But like most things Zach does, the calculations are bang on.
Happy, mate, we made it. Just enough concrete. It ended up being 4 trucks exactly, so couldn't have gone better, really.
You don't want to make your head any bigger than it is, but that's the best boxing we've ever had.
Is it? That's good, mate.
By late May, it feels like winter's arrived, and with it, Zach's pre-built frames. But with Zach working the day job down at his mum's, they're just sitting here waiting. It's cold, wet, and the build is behind schedule, hardly surprising on a part-time build. Zach may have built the perfect boxing, but his perfectionism may be working against him.
It's been a long time since I've seen a foundation that's been this well prepared. Thing is, though, he's still in the ground. And I would have thought the frames would have been up and possibly the roof even on by now. What's going on?
What's going on is he's still digging at his mum's place. The footings are ready to be poured, but the slab is still a couple of months away. And I suspect nights might be getting a little lonely. Tess has a new teaching job which is taking her out of town a lot, leaving Zach alone in his cold, rusty garage.
G'day, Zach.
How you doing, mate?
Good, man.
Come on in.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Wow.
Come on down, the tour won't take long.
I'm just sitting here thinking, boy, better you than me. I mean, here we are in the middle of winter, and you're in this nice, compact little garage.
It's small.
And
yeah.
What happened to Tess?
Yeah,
Has she done a runner already?
I know, right? She never mentioned how much
You know, travel was a new job of hers, so it's convenient, isn't it, that it's cold and she's probably tucked up somewhere in a nice hotel. So, oh, company.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Chris. Nice to see you
Oh,
again.
lovely to see
I
you.
promised oysters.
Oh.
Fresh bluff oysters.
With Tess away, it's good to see Zach's mum Carol making sure his belly's full and spirits are up.
So you're pretty proud of all Zach's hard labour?
Oh, well, I see the engineer's reports come through, so they're emailed to me, so I know he's passed our build. So I check it and say, good work, Zach. You're very proud.
So is this pretty much half of the course most evenings after a hard day on the tools?
Absolutely not. We're normally still hard at it, so this is a big reward.
So with a butty, there must be a typical way that you do this.
You need
this
to add
food
some
that's
more
going
though.
everywhere.
If you're gonna get your bread to chip ratio right, I'd say you need to go
okay.
more chips. If you're getting sauce.
Little did I know my lesson on Southland sandwich architecture was really just to butter me up to help. And with Tess away, I could hardly say no. Shorter days means working in the dark, whatever the conditions. But it's not all bad. Zach wanted to surprise me by getting a head start.
Come through the doorway.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
It's such a good feeling just to walk around on the slab.
The thing for me though is the challenge of getting out of the sand was huge.
Yes.
But the craftsmanship that went into the slab was mental.
Yeah, I know, right?
So tell me, we're here for a reason. What are we doing?
I need a hand with some frames, so it'd be great if you could give us a hand and we'll lift a couple up. Oh, look at that! All right, and just slide to me if possible.
In a week when most nights drop below zero, most of Dunedin is sensibly home in front of the telly. But Zach's out here getting his house built. I like that about him, but it is concerning.
Great.
We are just at the beginning of winter. I'm just kind of thinking, don't lose the plot, Zach.
No. Oh, we won't. Rug up, eat plenty. You don't notice it raining when you're this excited about putting frames up. But yeah, I mean, nights like this where you do see something for your hard work is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it's not every night. And that's why
So this is a good one.
this is a good one.
Pouring with rain. Middle of the night.
Yeah.
You're mad.
Get home soaking, yeah.
Zach makes light of his hard work, but he can't afford to get sick. Tess's new job means he'll be facing more cold nights building alone. Tess has gone from teaching students to training lawyers, and the job has a lot of travel. So I've caught up with her in Auckland to find out how she feels about abandoning Zach.
So you managed to escape the garage.
Yeah, I feel guilty probably that I enjoy being out of the garage so much.
How has that affected your involvement in the build? Does that mean that you're doing much less than you would have liked to have been doing?
It means I'm not present. I think that's where the guilt sort of kicks in. It's really lonely in the middle of winter, 10 o'clock at night, building a house by yourself.
And how do you think that Zach's getting on? I mean, are you worrying about him?
He's very tired. He's working really long hours now, just trying to get everything done. He's probably on his reserves though. I think he's, yeah, I don't think he's got another year of this in him.
And when midwinter hits Dunedin, Zach's reserves must be running low.
We went to have a shower and we went to shake the gas bottle and we couldn't because it was frozen to the ground, so that was actually pretty funny.
Yesterday was a write-off. Snow stopped work on both sites, Zach's and his mum's. But as soon as the snow starts to melt, Zach's outside on his mum's build, trying to make up for lost time.
We can do a few hours. If you're in it for too long, you're probably going to be spending next week in bed. Obviously hands don't work too well tying steel and the steel's all frozen to each other.
The harsh winter cold is slowing Zach down and making nights alone down the road even less appealing.
The kind of desire to go down there at night can be somewhat lacking compared to the nicer times of the year.
With his own house going much more slowly than he'd hoped, that initial moving in date just isn't going to happen.
Where we are at the moment, so there's no way that it would be September. No, not this year anyway.
In his 5th month of building day and night, 7 days a week, it's clear Zach may have taken on way too much. July brings some harsh weather to the Brighton coast in Dunedin, with delays to both Zach's builds. But the slab is now down at his mum's and the framing up at his place. It's the weekend, so with the frozen pond starting to melt and the sun out, Zach and Tess are spending the day building their roof.
Today is nailing 101. I usually require quite a bit of overseeing.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
But Zach's really good about it. He'll always take the time to put down his tools and come and help me and show me what I'm supposed to be doing.
We really made a concerted effort to say that this is going to be a house that we're both going to build. We're just going to learn along the way and have a few laughs and...
Tap that up.
Yeah.
It'll sit tight.
Yes.
And put it now. And could have been ugly if you don't work well together. I think it's also cool just working with someone. The weekends can be a whole lot more enjoyable if you're down here with someone else.
Some days it's really easy to want to stay in bed or, just do something normal like go for brunch or something like that. But it's nice to be here and to be involved. And I know, looking back, I will have really appreciated the time put into it. But that's not to say that there are some days where I just wish it would build itself. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to happen.
No. No.
With the shape of their house starting to emerge from the sand dune, I'm keen to see where its inspiration came from. Working down the coast as an apprentice, Zach fell in love with the holiday home they were building.
I can see a bit of Zach's house here.
So much so that he asked its architect, Regan Johnston, to scale up this one-room batch.
G'day, Regan.
Hi, Chris. Welcome to Torrey Mouth.
Oh, thank you.
Come on in, take a look at the house.
Oh, what a lovely little gem. Gosh, what a great outlook.
Yeah, it's amazing up here. Just high enough here to see over the top of the sand dunes and the waves breaking. And at night, you can lie in bed, you look back across to the lights of Dunedin. It was designed primarily as a weekend retreat. Small house, economical to build. And I was lucky enough to have a fantastic team of builders on the job at the time.
And obviously Zach was one of those involved in the build.
Zach was one of those. He's just coming out of his time. He's quite fastidious, and you can certainly see that throughout his current project.
He obviously loved the way that you designed because it's had a big influence on his current house.
Yeah. Zach liked the characteristics of this home. He wanted a small home, maybe not quite so small as this house. He wanted it to be affordable as well. And him being the builder, he wanted to be able to do a lot of that work himself.
There's a lovely kind of lightness and leanness to what you've done here. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that in Zach's place.
I can see what Zach fell in love with here. The simplicity, the timber, and the wall of glass that makes you feel like you're on the beach. Turn this batch into a home, and you might feel like you're always on holiday. But there's no sense of holiday as spring arrives at Zach's build, and with it, increased building hours and daylight savings. Although it's a weekday, Zach's down at his place to oversee the giant roof beam going up.
Up and over. So we're thinking through there.
It's a big beam and a long reach. Too long for the first truck.
Need a slightly bigger truck. So he's way to get the bigger one.
The massive ridge beam has been pre-cut to fit a steel plate. In a house where everything is exposed, there's a lot riding on getting these measurements just right.
So it's just getting that to marry up beautifully with not much clearance is kind of tricky. If it could push that way, yep, down. That's it.
And with a bit of persuasion, it fits, which must be a massive relief for Zach.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse. Thought we were going to have to get the big hammer out, but it actually went in not too bad.
If Zach was just building one house, I might take the odds on being in by Christmas. But with a day job down the road finally taking shape, the pressure will be coming on to meet Carolyn Judd's deadline.
Some structural steel up and the chimneys kind of being the main focal point of passers-by, wondering what on earth we're building as they keep getting taller and taller. And basically the size comes down to the fact that they are taking out all the wobble out of the house.
Although there's nothing going on with his mum's house on a Saturday, the reality of months of working day and night is starting to catch up with Zach.
it's easy to forget about down the road because you're 9 or 10 hours here. Everyone disappears and you're down there by yourself, or just Tess and I. It's just a really different, eh?
With Zach's world shrinking to a windswept 500 square metre radius, his mother Carol has been making sure he's kept fed and warm.
It's been cold as hell and it is bitter. We've bought him a new coat and buy gloves so they can keep on going, and he just keeps working. I don't think he's been able to afford to get sick. He's got to be the person that's here at 8 o'clock in the morning for everybody else, and he's got to be the person that's back down at that house at 4:30 to start building again. So that's been his whole life, and he still trucks on, you know?
Sitting out a freezing winter across the driveway, Zach and Tess must covet Carolyn Judd's luxurious garage and inside bathroom. But it's all part of the plan.
It is their dream together. And this is the only way they can get there, is, you know, Zach's got to work full-time. He's got to have a job that will allow him to do that.
And it turns out the two-house arrangement is helping both Zach and his mum realise their dreams.
It's the only way that it's allowed us to have our dream home, because he is doing everything at not a company rate, it's at my son's rate.
So, savings to everybody, but what cost to Zach?
We look forward to it ending, and he can bike again and he can have some time to himself. But I think it's been a real challenge, and I don't think we appreciated how huge it was, or how big the ask was.
And as we head into spring, it goes on being challenging. After a full day building his mum's house, Zach is down at his site battling away on his own, hoping the rain lifts before Tess gets home from work.
Or hopefully, if Tess comes down, we'll chuck some more rafters up. It's not too wet. The plan is have her down there nailing the bottom and I'll nail the top. If we don't do this, then I suppose we're not going to have a roof for Christmas. It's understandable she doesn't want to come down tonight.
Unfortunately, when she does arrive, the weather is even more miserable.
It's a bit wet outside.
Yeah, so no rafters today.
No.
With the rain making it too dangerous to work on the roof, it's another wet night in the garage, where there aren't a lot of options. Sit at the table, the couch, or go to bed.
Pouring with rain outside, and that can be frustrating. And on the weekend, like that happened, it rained all of Sunday, and Zach's sort of like a Labrador at the window, just wanting it to stop raining so he can go outside.
Looking at Zach tonight, I wonder if the rain and enforced rest might be no bad thing.
Sometimes I call him down from the section early. I'm like, nah, let's just call it, like, it's too much. I think, you know, he's getting a little bit better at measuring when he needs to stop and eat and, you know, drink water. Yeah, I worry about him, but I think I couldn't stop him if I tried, eh? We have a dream of just like, when it's all ready, just taking down our toothbrushes and moving in, you know? That's kind of how we want to do it.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, as soon as Zach told me the glass was going to be in before Christmas, I was like, great, let's drag a mattress down and move in. So, you know, my chops and changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're already at the end of October, and the house still has no roof or walls. Glassing by Christmas? I wouldn't be packing my toothbrush yet. After a cold, dark, miserable winter, summer is finally here. And it's wonderful to see Zach and Tess out building together. The roof is on and the skylights have gone in. Today they're putting up battens to prepare for the aluminium cladding. They've made good progress, but are still a long way from closing the house in. With a week to Christmas, the windows are going to be next year. When they started the build, Tess thought they'd be in by the end of the year. Now she's caught up with the reality of building a house in your spare time.
I had no concept of how much goes into a house build, and I think I was pretty quick off the mark to say, invite the whole family around for Christmas. So I've told them to hold on to those, onto those flights for a little bit longer yet.
We could be living in it by Easter. It's just whether I would like to live in it when I'm not happy with it. I'd rather it be completely finished polished, cleaned, no more building or dust, and then you move in.
By late February, Christmas has come and gone, and the southernmost tropical cyclone ever is lashing the South Island. Work has stopped on both sites, and with the glass not yet in, Zach's place is exposed to the elements. Zach's desperate to get the house watertight, but those massive windows are holding things up.
Every piece is being craned in. We are slightly hamstrung by juggling the crane, moving the scaffolding and the glass. And given that everyone's obviously screaming out for people at the moment, you've got to get in line.
Working around other tradies and the weather is slowing down Zach and Tessa's place. It's also having an impact at Carol and Judd's. But like her son, Carol's not one to focus on obstacles.
It's looking quite impressive, yes.
It's amazing. And we're just waiting for the other end to go on too, because a little bit more steelwork to come. But next to the sea, it's been rusting a little bit.
Rusting a little bit?
Yes.
That means it's been standing here for a while.
No, it's going really well. It's really well. And I think he's a little bit of a perfectionist. And so he wants to be a perfectionist here and he wants to be a perfectionist down there. I think that must take its toll a little bit.
Yeah.
We've got a fairly major family Christmas here this year.
What, and you think you're going to be in for that?
Yes.
We'd better
Was
be...
that a nervous laugh?
Yeah. Well, it was always going to be 2 years. And so 2 years is up at Christmas.
So...
Yeah, we'll see.
We shall see, yeah.
There's a lot of blue sky up there, isn't there?
That's a Christmas deadline for Mum, after Zach missed last Christmas for Tess. To keep things moving, he's juggling 2 builds today with the big windows arriving down at his place.
I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I was a wee bit worried about everything. With the house having no reveals or architraves or skirtings or anything like that, everything comes down to the mill. It has to be perfect. So it's kind of been up to me to make sure that's all going to work.
Good, yep.
The triple glazed panes are incredibly heavy, so as well as the crane, you need a big team to get them in place. They have to be shifted slowly and carefully.
Oh!
These are 200 kgs plus. Got to make sure you know exactly what you're doing and talk your way through it.
The precise measurements of steel and glass means there is very little room for error.
Now closer to the east, Toddy.
With an entire sea-facing glass wall, getting these windows in will finally close the house in from the Dunedin weather.
Yeah, you gotta watch your corner.
As the 2 buildings have grown out of the sand, they've become visible to each other. And I can't help wonder, with Zach's head in the day job at Mum's, if his heart might be down the road at his own home.
There's no bangs or anything like that, so it's good.
Is all right?
Yeah.
With the house finally watertight, this is a real milestone for Zach, who gets to experience the inside of his house for the first time.
Cool. Big job, a lot of work for one day. Looks pretty cool. It's nice hearing an echo.
In this beautiful late summer, most people would want to be at the beach. Zach and Tess are, but even on weekends like this, they're hard at work, putting down topsoil and finishing the flashings.
On days like this, we don't mind at all being out here. It's really nice. Sun's out and we're getting stuff done. But you know, definitely, I can imagine there being a Sunday where we're not working. It'll be so nice to like wake up in a house and put the coffee on and open the paper and just sit and be happy where we are, and that's going to be such a treat.
And the best thing about a solid Sunday building your own house is I bet the afternoon beer tastes even better.
Cheers! So what do you think of your day's work?
Big day. Really big day.
It's nice to see them getting a taste of what it's going to be like. But after a year of working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, it might take more than a beer to recharge Zach's batteries. It's the middle of winter again, and Carolyn Judd's complex roof design is proving a bit of a headache.
Really big job doing the roof, it's huge. Yeah, that's definitely taking up most of my time.
Zach and Tess had originally hoped to be in their place last October. Then it was Christmas, and then Easter. It's now July, and they're still in the garage. The day job is having to take priority. Nothing like your mum setting the deadline.
Since the get-go, she's wanted to have Christmas in this place. I see that happening. But yeah, it's going to make for a pretty interesting and pretty hectic last kind of 6 months of the year.
Zach and Tess are cladding their house in reverse-run aluminium. They've ordered it cut to measure from an Auckland factory. As an engineering geek, I thought I'd take the opportunity to see it coming off the roll. I reckon using aluminium is a smart decision. In that exposed coastal environment, it should stand up to whatever sand and salt is thrown at it.
We'll know whether it fits if you hear no swearing.
The pre-cut sheets have to fit perfectly for the house to be watertight.
It's a gap in the line here. It's called a negative detail, so it gives you the shadow line all the way up. Very, very complicated. It's got to be square and it's got to be parallel.
Inside the house, the new timber floor is getting a final sand. In a nice touch, Zach, the Kiwi builder, has chosen timber flooring that should make Tasmanian Tess feel right at home.
It's Tasmanian oak, really beautiful wood. It's a pretty awesome house. His upstairs area is pretty awesome. He's talking about that's maybe where the guests would hang out, so I wouldn't mind being a guest in this house.
After more than 16 months largely building this house in his spare time, it must be a strange but liberating feeling to walk down after work to see progress on a project he has been so hands-on with almost every step of the way.
It actually looks even better than what I thought it was going to be. Very, very good workmanship.
Each job that is ticked off must feel like a concrete block being lifted from Zach's weary shoulders.
From the outset, we wouldn't have ever liked to admit how long it was going to take. You probably wouldn't have signed up to do a house in your weekends if you did know.
I certainly don't think Tess would have signed up to 2 winters in the garage. And with both houses hanging over Zach's head, I do hope the South Island endurance builder can keep his energy up until the finish line. The last time I saw Zach, he was looking absolutely exhausted, and he still had 2 builds to complete. His mum was hoping to move in by Christmas, and he and Tess were still living in that cold garage. Can't wait to see what they've done. Oh, wonderful. My first impression is that this modern house feels like it's meant to be here, combining its batch heritage with perfect geometry. Hey!
Chris.
Hey!
Nice to see you.
Good to see you too. You're looking great.
Lovely to see you.
Wow, it's really shaped up well.
It has, hasn't it?
Wow.
Come have a look.
Love to. Wow, this is really impressive. I mean, you first come in and you just kind of think, whoa.
It's a view that hits you, doesn't it?
It certainly does. I mean, the total wraparound.
Yeah.
You can't miss it. You feel like you're literally in the sea. Lovely timber floor.
Yeah, so that's a Tassie oak. It reminds me a lot of my mum's kitchen, actually, which is nice.
It looks fabulous. And it looks beautiful with all the exposed structure too. You're a stickler for detail, aren't you?
I think it's worth it. It looks great.
Fabulous. And I love the robustness of everything. And I'm just looking at the sheer scale of your wood burner. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's enormous.
Yeah, we're very much looking forward to lighting it.
It's a brand new fireplace, but the refurbished furniture came from a wool shed in Wanaka. It looks a bit smarter than your average wool shed. Upstairs, the real joy is the mezzanine. This is lovely.
Yeah.
The deep bookshelf balcony makes it feel like its own private space. It's got a real sense of intimacy up here.
Yeah, this is a nice, cosy wee space.
And love the paintings.
Yeah, my dad painted those for us. So they're sort of Tasmanian, New Zealand theme.
And the cedar ceiling timbers are meticulously placed.
To be able to get a little bit of timber, a little bit of building happening, to kind of show your trade, I think it's nice.
And setting off Zach's work is a perfect shadow line around the house.
One of my jobs was to line the floor with the MDF so that the jib stoppers could stop and get that beautiful negative detail.
Oh, this is a good spot. And it really feels like you're in an upturned boat here.
Yeah.
And where did the lampshade come from?
Well, I was looking for a lampshade that it had to be quite big to sort of anchor the room, and this is the biggest one I could find. But I love it. It's a George Nelson, and it's actually added a lot more to the room than we would have anticipated, I think.
Yeah, and then you've got this lovely space.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah, the wee flat roof link between the living and the bedroom.
Yeah, we'd always thought of this room as just kind of a thoroughfare, like especially when we were building it. But now that it's actually here, it feels very much like a great space to be in, a nice place to entertain.
And what's this?
Yeah, so this is one of our cavity sliders. So it's a really nice way to sort of lock off the different spaces. So you can just pull it across.
Oh, whoa. Very effective. You can come back now. Gosh, that works really well. It feels like, even though the house is small, it's been so thoroughly thought about. You've got so many different ways of using each and every space.
The smaller pavilion is all about the master bedroom and the bed overlooking the sand dunes below.
Oh, this feels just like a chapel.
Yeah, I really like it. It's kind of like a miniature version of that living room side. It's very cool. You got the same lamp that Tess chose from the other
A mini version.
A mini version.
I love the stainless steel cross bracing. I guess going to bed every night's a very religious experience. This has been such a massive push for you guys, and I'm constantly in amazement because of the fact that you did this all in your spare time. It's a bit of a DIY on the side job, which utterly blows me away. So congratulations for getting here. I mean, it's so impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it was I think a far more intensive job than even what I had imagined. You know, it's been 18 months, and you know, at the start we probably thought it would be half that, but I'd do it again.
I think
You would do it again?
Yeah, I'd build this again tomorrow.
Would you, Tess?
no, because we've already got it. So, you know, done.
What are the parts of the house that you're super proud of?
The glass was always going to be pretty magic. You know, then the timber floors, which we hadn't planned on doing, and then they came up so beautifully.
I don't know if I have a favourite, other than the fact that we built it.
How about budget? Because the budget at the beginning, was it $250?
Yeah, I thought it was 3.
Yeah.
But we would have been trying for $250 at the start, that's right. Last Christmas, it was looking pretty good. And then I suppose we introduced a lot more kind of finishing materials.
So the rubber band kind of stretched, the budget went...
Yeah.
So what did it end up costing in the end?
It's about 400.
Yeah, if it was that, then I'd be quite happy. There's a lot of house here.
For 400, yes. And now you're in the sun, and you've got a whole summer ahead of you.
I know. It's
Yeah.
going to be beautiful. I'm looking forward to not waking up every Saturday and Sunday at 7 o'clock with Zach saying, right, get your boots on, let's go. It'll be really nice just to be lazy for a bit.
There's no time for Zach to be lazy. He's promised Carol and Judd they'll be in by Christmas. He may have finally moved into his house, but he'll be back up the road 24/7.
It's going to be really tight, but they'll be living in it. Yeah, it'll be probably not as finished as what this house is.
The upside is that Zach can focus on the day job now his own house is finished. But of course, he won't have his star apprentice.
The way that you work together with Tess to take her through all of those skills in a very kind of open, loving, supportive kind of way. I mean, how many builders do that on site? It's more like, oi!
Yeah, there was a few oys. But, it was fun.
We very much tried to make sure we enjoyed it and appreciated the privilege for what it was, which was building a beautiful house in a beautiful place.
It really is the house that Zach and Tess built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty special.
Yeah.
Building this house nearly killed Zach, but he did it. He and Tess did it together. It's their shared approach to building that I find so incredibly inspiring. And it's not just any house. It's small and perfectly formed. So often we celebrate beachside behemoths,
But a perfect little house can be the best grand design of all.